Hi again, everyone. I'm your host, Christopher Wells. Welcome to the fifth installment of the Restaurant Show. Very happy to have you here with me. I got to tell you, the summer has been quite the season for me. Work-wise, I've been very busy working with all kinds of restaurants, driving everywhere, giving trainings everywhere, leaving again for 10 days on Friday. It's been quite the insane schedule, but I've also had some amazing times with friends, with my woman, lucky enough to have a mother-in-law that has a boat, so we've been on the water a little bit, driven around, seen some shows with some great friends, drank some amazing wines, had some great barbecues. Summer has been treating us really well, and I'm very excited. And on this note, let's get this show on the road. Okay, so we're back, and I was telling you about how amazing my summer is for a specific reason. Yeah, just to be grateful for how great the last couple of weeks have been. I haven't felt this good in a while. My workouts have been outstanding, and work has been really good, and times with friends and my girlfriend and my parents and family has been really enjoyable. And I've realized how much more efficient I am in my work when I do get to spend good times with people. And I know that people who run restaurants or own restaurants a lot of times are spending insane amount of times in their businesses because they are very hard businesses to manage. But also enjoying time with friends and family does make you a better manager, a better owner, and most of all, a better leader, right? Helps you keep your sanity, helps you feel good. Helps you make better decisions and kind of alleviate a little bit of the weight that's on your shoulders from the day-to-day management, right? From dealing with staff and their issues to dealing with the menu, the operations, the execution in the kitchen, your guests, bringing in new people. There's so many things all the time. And some people feel like they can't because if they're not there, it's not going to work. And that's not your staff's fault if you're in that position. It is your fault as an operator, as a leader, as a manager. You need to learn to delegate, and people will do stuff right if you show them how to do it and how to delegate appropriately. And a lot of times where people fail in delegating is because they don't follow up and they don't discipline or coach, or they don't give responsibility to the person that they teach, right? If they show them and they screw it up, then they say, well, that's it. That's the proof that I can't, delegate and I have to be here 7 days a week. Well, that's crap. And if you are there 7 days a week, then you're not being great at what you do because you're too tired. I mean, it's impossible. You'll do it for a year. You'll do it for 2 years. But it's you can't sustain that for a while. You can't keep your interest in it. You can't keep your patience. If you don't have your patience, it shows in the way you talk to your staff. It shows in the way you answer guests when they have complaints or issues. So you're not at your best. Therefore, you don't have the best restaurant, and you're hurting your own wallet, right? So learn to delegate. Stop trying to be a superstar. Yes, you're good. Yes, you've developed ways of making sure your business is working, but you need to learn to delegate and free yourself some time. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. Okay. Some people's relationships go sour because they can't learn to pull away from the business, and some people get mentally sick, or they get a depression, and ultimately people die from this business, like any other business. But don't get yourself there. Okay. Here's how you delegate. Keep it simple. Whatever it is, I'll give you an example. Somebody has to do a wine order, right? First time, you do it with them. From A to Z, you show them every step of what you're doing. Then you'll do it with them while they do it, and you watch over their shoulder. And then you can correct as you go. You forgot to do this. Did you check over there? Have you done this? Remember last time I showed you to do it this way? And you might need more than one time depending on the task, right? From cleaning a fridge, probably one time should be sufficient, to doing an old inventory. You might have to do it for a couple of months with somebody, right? Do it 3, 4, 5 times before they get comfortable. But then they do it and you supervise. And after they get comfortable and they do it right, then you just have to check on them. So if you think you're the only one who can make a wine order in your restaurant, your shit is wrong. Like there's something in the way you see management and business that is wrong, and that's why you don't have any time off, and you won't be feeling good, and your business is going to suffer from that. And ultimately, in the long run, you're not going to be doing as good, or the business is not going to do as good as it could be doing. So take time for yourself. Make sure that you delegate. Stop thinking that, the restaurant can't operate without you. Find people that can do stuff and make sure that you're responsible. Okay. I once had a manager who gave me stuff to do one day, and she said, I want those 3 things to be done. One of them wasn't as important. It took me longer to do because we had a big rush. I did 2 of them. I went home and said that 3rd thing, I'll do it as soon as I come in the morning. She happened to pass by the restaurant at 9:00 at night, right after I'd pulled a 12-hour day, and went home, and I'm cooking dinner. And she said, you didn't do that thing I told you. And I said, well, I did the others. I was going to do that in the morning. She said, no, I want you to come back and do it now. I asked you to do it today. Well, I wasn't very happy because I had to put my food aside that was on the stove, drive back to the restaurant, and finish her stupid little thing. But I can tell you that from that point on, when she gave me something to do, I made sure that it was done. So if you don't make people responsible for their mistakes as they learn new tasks, they'll never get to learn it. Okay, so I'm explaining in 3 minutes something that could take an hour and a half to coach, but just to give you the point that you need to learn to delegate and take time for yourself. When you come back and you're refreshed and you're motivated and you had good times, you see things it's a little lighter. It's not as heavy, and everything doesn't weigh so much on your shoulders. You don't want to rip everybody's head off. You're a little more understanding and more flexible, and it just makes for a better atmosphere for everybody else, right? I think leadership starts with, obviously, from the top, and you are the locomotive that brings in the attitude in the restaurant and the mood and the motivation to make things work. If you never take care of yourself and you never take a little time off, it shows in the way you are, and you're not going to make it in the long run, and you're going to hate your business if you don't already hate it. So make sure that you, especially in this nice season in the summer, take some time off, even if it's just a day here and there. Take some time off, pull the plug, and make sure that you can recharge your batteries for your entire business's sake, but mainly for your sake as a human being. So take some time and save some of your sanity. Now, speaking of sanity, I want to share a story that almost made me lose my own. I often talk about attitude of service, right? How you need to be focused on what your guest wants for the money that they spend and the experience they want to have. When you have an attitude of service, it's easy for you to make sure that all of these goals are achieved and that people leave your establishment satisfied with the money they spend. I mentioned how my workouts have been going well, and I was talking with a girl I work out with, and she said, well, you're in the service industry. You talk about these things all the time. She said, let me tell you a story of what happened today. My colleagues at work wanted to go for ice cream. And, I've been working out hard, so I didn't really want to go, but it was a really hot day, and I kind of felt like going. So when I got there, I asked the gentleman who was, she said he looked like the owner of the place, an older gentleman that was running the little ice cream shop. Can I have the kids' size ice cream cone? And he said, oh, no, I can't. It's only for kids. Well, she said, I'm willing to pay the small price that I would pay if you give me the small one, but I just want the kid size, right? Just want a small bite to satisfy my sweet tooth and not mess up with how hard I've been working out. She didn't tell him that, but that's kind of her reasoning. She just said, I'll pay for the small one. Just give me the kid size. Like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. You pay the small size, I have to give you the small size. And she was a little baffled, telling him, well, if I pay for that, but I'd like you to give me a smaller one. Why wouldn't you do that? And he was like, no, I can't do that. So I was quite baffled by, if somebody's asking you for more stuff for less money, then maybe you'll say no. But if somebody's asking you to pay more and receive less because that's the quantity that they want to have at that moment, maybe we can accommodate them, right? Because not only it's going to cost us less ice cream, a smaller cone probably costs less money, and we're going to make a guest happy by providing them with what they want, right? When people ask you for unreasonable things, yes, you can explain to them that you can't do it because you'll lose money. But please, for logic's sakes, for attitude of service sake, make sure that when somebody's asking you for something you can do that is not going to cost more for the restaurant, you go and you do it. Now, that man proved that attitude of service, he doesn't have that, and he doesn't care, and he's decided there's a rule: only kids can get kids ice cream cones, and even if you give me $20, I'm not going to give you a kid's ice cream cone. Well, good job, retard, because she never going back there, and now she's told me, and she's probably told 20, 25 of her friends, because there's a bunch of us when she told the story. So how to easily make someone unhappy by refusing to do something super simple for them, right? When you have a chance to impress somebody or just to satisfy a small request that is not going to take money out of your pocket, why would you not do it? Now, here's what I do then think about, is that its cost of acquisition for a client is probably pretty high because there's competition, and not only that, he competes with Mother Nature, because if it had rained that day, then nobody would have gone. So now he's getting all these ladies from an office nearby to come down and have ice cream during their lunch break, and he's going to go act like a retard. And I don't know if the other ladies that were there with my friend are going to go back, but I know she ain't going back, and I'm pretty sure that if they have an option to go somewhere else, they'll probably go somewhere else, because he acted like, I don't care about you, this is the rule. This ain't the army, buddy. Okay? You're not general ice cream dude. So let's be logical and accommodate simple requests like that, and show that we have an attitude of service and we want to make people happy. And speaking of making people happy, the RBB mention of the week. So the restaurant building block mention of the week to a restaurant that stood out, that did something special for a guest, or that did something fun, in general for the business. And this week the mention goes to a pizza joint in Texas called Il Cane Corso. Now, they're a rather high end, not super high end, but maybe not your dollar pizza, but rather high end, nice wood-oven pizza place. And I guess a trend that's been very popular is to have dips go with the pizza. And I guess some people have taken it even further, where maybe there isn't an offer of dips, marinaras, or different kind of sauces. And apparently ranch has gotten very popular, at least maybe in Texas or in the States. But a lot of people have been dipping their pizza in ranch. And now the owner of Il Cane Corso said, nobody is going to dunk my pizza in ranch, in my restaurant anyways, if I can do anything with it. So they started kind of joking around, and I guess some people had asked for it, and they'd refuse. So eventually they bought a bottle of ranch dressing, encased it in a nice wood box with kind of a break the window in case of emergency, but it had a cost attached to it, and they priced a bottle of ranch at $1,000. So they said, here's the box. If you need it, you need to pay $1,000, and we'll open it up and give you the ranch dressing that's inside. Obviously, not expecting anyone to pay for it, but this thing made its round on social media. A lot of people kind of, I guess, most of them jokingly saying, we'll never visit you, and you can't, keep us from using ranch on your pizza. And the owner, kind of tongue in cheek, joking about how it was never going to happen in his restaurant. And they got quite a bit of publicity from that, and a lot of likes on their Facebook page, and a lot of people started following them. And it just shows that sometimes by being funny or creative, we all have stuff that our guests do that are pet peeves, and they turned it into something funny and in free publicity, because they were at huge exposure all over on different restaurant websites, and I mean, it made its way all the way to me here up in Canada. So, and I've been following them, and they kind of ran with the ball, and answered some people, and posted signs on their door, kind of answering, guest complaints about it. And so, sometimes you can play around with things and be creative. So that's why I wanted to have them as the restaurant building block mention of the week. Congratulations to Il Cane Corso. You can check them out on Facebook. They're pretty funny with some of the stuff they do on there. And speaking of doing things right, in the next part, I want to tell you about going above expectations. It sounds cliche. You probably think you do it already. Most restaurants think they do it, but most restaurants don't. Most owners don't. Most servers don't. Most people do just enough, average, just enough to get by, right? Just enough for people to be okay and pay the bill. But if you really want people to become loyal to you, that you want them to come back, you want them to, be emotionally attached to the brand, to your staff, to your business, you need to go above expectation. You need to be aware of guest preferences, of what they like. Remember their, like the old trick of the bartender who knows your favorite drink and offers it as soon as you walk in the door. It works every time. I mean, I used to do it to my guests. And when I walk in somewhere and somebody knows what I want to drink and offers it, even if I was going to go for something else, I'll have it because it touches me that, they took time to remember. Specific tables or especially depending on the scale of your restaurant. But if you remember some of the allergies they have or their preference with wines, people are so blown away by that because it shows that you care and you go above expectation. If the expectation is to, serve and guide and give them suggestions on specific items and stuff like that. But when you start remembering who they are, what they do, where they're from, and that requires an interest on your part, and the same thing with your staff, right? Be aware of why they're out. What's the occasion? Is it just a relaxing night out? It doesn't mean that we can't go above expectations, but once we know that it's an anniversary, that they just got married. I once had a table. I had to probe for a half hour to find out, they really looked spiffy, and eventually they told me they'd just gotten married, and we were their favorite restaurant, and that's why they came in. Well, from there, I was able to, buy them, bring them a little bubbly, buy them dessert, and go above, what they expected. And they already told us we were their favorite restaurant. But after they left, they were like, "You guys are amazing." So then they become raving fans, and raving fans talk about you, and that's free publicity. And if people are so emotional about you when they talk about you, other people are curious and are like, "I want to try that place," right? Ads and marketing and all that. It's great to try to put butts in the seats, but let's be real. When it comes from somebody that's adamant and emotional about the experience they had with you, then that can't be bought. And I can only imagine how many people that couple sent in or how much of their family they brought in. And I even remember that night they told me most of the family events were celebrated in our restaurant, whether it be birthdays or anniversaries or whatever it was. That's where they wanted to go when they wanted to feel special and they wanted to have a good dinner. They came to us, and we just cemented that relationship by going above expectations. I hate when people talk about VIPs. Oh, these guys are VIPs. These guys are. You should treat and greet everyone like they're VIPs. If your frame of mind is that everybody's a VIP and you cherish everyone that comes into your door as someone special, it'll show in the way you act. I mean, I've seen restaurants have extra umbrellas, and someone from the hostess or a busboy will walk a couple to their car because it's pouring rain and they just had a great dinner, and they'll take an extra minute to make sure that they don't get, completely drenched walking to their car. Well, if you don't have an extra umbrella because you didn't think about doing something like that, then that won't work. But these are little touches that impress people, right? I've walked a lady to her car because it was pretty icy conditions outside, even though we put salts, it was snowing, and made sure that, she held onto my arm, and I brought her to her car to make sure that she was safe. I've driven, actually, that specific guest became one of my best friends today, and he comes to the house frequently, and we see each other all the time. But he was originally a guest in a restaurant where I worked, and he wouldn't leave me his keys because he drank too much. And after a long discussion, I pretty much stole his keys. He got angry because he was drunk, and eventually I said, "Listen, let me drive you home. I'll take a cab back." And he insisted on paying the cab, and that was fine, and gave me $20 for a cab. But I drove him home, and he had his car with him. And the next day he came to thank me and became a loyal guest and eventually became a good friend. But we cemented that relationship because I went out and above expectations. When a guest tells you something like, no, it's okay, you don't have to do that, do it, whatever it is. I've seen people say, "Oh, no, it's okay, don't go back and get that extra piece." I don't care what it is, an extra piece of lime, an extra piece of bread, an extra bit of sauce because, oh, yeah, I could have used more sauce. But no, it's okay, don't go. No, go out of your way, go above expectations. Most people aren't. So as soon as you do, you start being above average, right? Most people play for average. If you want to stand out, you want people to go back to you, you want people to frequent your business, go above and beyond. The dollar that they spend in your restaurant is worth the same in any other restaurant, and they have to work as hard. So when you start thinking of people, how hard they work, how they spend that extra, the little bit of extra income they have after they've paid the mortgage, the cars, put the kids in school, and this and that, and they still choose to go and spend that money with you, and you start respecting that money from that point of view, and you go above expectations, and you want to impress them, and you want them to come back to you and be loyal to you, and not just take them for an extra table tonight, some extra money. You will, when you focus on that, exceeding expectations and impressing guests and showing them how much you care, that's where you will grow your customer base. That's where you will start driving more sales, and that's where you're strengthening your business, your restaurant, and you become immune to the economy going up and down. Because when people start not going out, guess where they go? They go to their favorite restaurant, to the places that they know people will take great care of them. Okay, if you're one off that they go to once in a while, when money starts getting tight, somebody loses a job, the economy starts going in the tank, well, they're going to cut the places where they're not sure if it's going to be great. But I guarantee you, if they've built rapport, emotional rapport with you, and that you go above expectation every time, they will go to you even in the hard times, because that's where they feel good and that's where they know they'll be taken care of. So keep working at going above expectations and impress every guest that comes in your restaurant. Keep in mind, a customer base is built one guest at a time. Okay, if you think that you need to impress 100 people for it to start growing, I guarantee you, impress one person, one couple, and they start talking about you, and they come back, and you impress the people that they bring, and this is how you grow a customer base over 12 months down the line. So keep that in mind and go out and impress the hell out of your guests. And to close out this last segment of this episode of the Restaurant Show, I want to tell you about opportunity meets preparedness. You have to be ready for the guests when they come. A lot of restaurants are uber ready on a Friday, Saturday night, but Monday's quiet, so I'm not going to set up the whole bar, or I don't need to make more roll-ups or polish more cutlery, or you know what, let's hope that we have enough of X product, and hopefully we'll have enough bread for that sandwich, or it might be a little tight, but hopefully we'll be okay. And when you start undermining, the preparedness and not being ready for the shift, you affect the guest experience in your restaurant. Now, I repeat all this stuff all the time, right? Attitude of service, going above expectations, like I mentioned in the last segment, and being ready to execute properly. Well, if you want to execute properly, you got to be prepared. And once you're prepared, when the people come through the door and you get slammed on a specific night, you're ready to impress those people. Don't just say, well, Friday, Saturday are the big money nights, and if Monday's if it gets busy, well, too bad. If you ruin a few tables, it's it happens, right? We got busy, not our fault. Well, it is your fault, and it'll be your fault when your sales start going down because people don't come back to you because they had a bad experience. So don't wait, and don't say we'll get ready when we get busy, okay? Because you'll disappoint your guests every time. I always, when I start coaching people or training staff, the first thing I say is be ready every shift. Set up yourself to win. So if you set up your bar on a Friday night a certain way to do 1,000 guests, and I'm not saying overstocking, I'm talking like basic stuff, like have enough ice, put your juices that you have to make drinks in the ice, and have your bar set up. So if 20 people walk in, you're able to serve them in a decent amount of time, and you can provide the same level of service you would on a Saturday night, right? Like I mentioned before, $1 in your restaurant is $1 anywhere. It's as hard to gain or to they have to work as hard to make it to spend in your restaurant or anywhere else. So it's not a guest's fault that too many guests showed up on a Monday. So screw you, service will suck, and you'll wait 20 minutes for a drink. First of all, when you wait 20 minutes for a drink, you're not able to order a second drink because it takes about 20 minutes to drink. So if you'd gotten in there in 2 minutes, you probably would have sold an extra drink. And on top of it, you're not having a good experience because once I sit down and I order a drink, it's because I want to drink it now. I can taste it. I want it on the table. So set your restaurant up to win. If there's pitchers of water to be filled, fill those pitchers of water. If you need cutlery, if you need to be prepped, if you need to prep some butter, cut some bread, whatever it is that you need to prep in your restaurant to be ready to do it. And if you need more servers, you need to coach servers, you need to train them, you need to set them up. You need to have somebody on call, but they won't like it, then have somebody on call, right? Be respectful. Don't bring them in and waste their time. But sometimes if you under, schedule. And I guess I'm not suggesting to overschedule, because then, you're going to labor costs. They're going to be really high and you're not going to make money. But you need to be smart with your scheduling and have people ready to work if you're going to need them. When you might get busy. I'm sure that, in a small town like where I live, on a Monday night in January, there's no chance you're going to get hit with a rush. You might get a few people extra, but you're not going to get hit. But in the summertime, when it's nice and you have a patio and the weather's good, you never know when you can get crushed. So be ready for it. And here's an example I want to give you. There's a nice little restaurant in my hometown, and they do a brunch. We keep going back because food is good. Service is, more or less very average all the time every time I go. Sometimes a little bit better than the last, depending who's serving us. It's never great. Okay. It's always very long to get drinks. And if they get busy, they get dizzy and they can't really keep up. They, at one point, the owner decided to do a Groupon or Living Social, whatever, rebate website that he decided to use. And because they have a good reputation, they've been around for a long time. And I guess, maybe dinner is a little bit more stable, solid, maybe better staff, more experience. And their brunch is where it was kind of hit or miss and rather pricey, right? Really well done for the price. I mean, value for the price, but the service really didn't match kind of what the experience should have been. Now, when they went out and posted this, they sold close to 400 units. I think it was 362, 72, something like that. But anyways, close to 400 of these brunch specials. So I guess for what was a really good price, like $50 or $60, you could get, brunch for two with some mimosas, and it was well worth it, if you compare it to the regular menu. What happened is that as the regular guests like us would go, the restaurant got really busy in the following weeks because people started using their coupons. And the service, who was already kind of shaky, got really bad because they would get swamped and they weren't ready for it. And they didn't put maybe an extra person on, or think that if they had sold 400 coupons, they might get, let's say they were already doing 30, 40, 50 guests for brunch. Well, now they're going to do 100, 150, and they could barely do the 50 to start with. So, and then I talked to the owner who I knew, and I kind of tried to bring it up in a nice way. And he was like, well, hopefully this will bring more business for brunch, and then I'll have more money to hire more people. So basically what he wanted is people to have an average to below average experience, and then finance potentially will be ready when they come. Well, they're already here. They've already paid, and now they feel like they're not getting their money's worth, and they're not impressed, and they're not going to come back because they're like, imagine, luckily we only paid half price for this. Can you imagine if I'd paid double this? I would be not happy. I'd be furious. I'd be pissed off. So what he could have done is say, listen, for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to put an extra person in from 11 to 2, which is probably the busiest section of the day. I'm going to have to invest an extra 30, 40 bucks in labor there, but I'm going to make sure that every table is impressed. He should himself has touched those tables that are the new people he's trying to bring in, that he's invested, right? So he's invested in trying to put new people in the seats. You want to create a habit of where they're going to come back to you. Instead, what he did is not impress them, probably get a bad word around for his brunch, and waste the money that he had, because right with Groupon, I don't even know if he broke even on that deal. So it wound up probably costing him money to not even create a loyal fan base. Had he done it and created, let's say 342, probably, 250 showed up, or 275, because a bunch of people forget that they bought these Groupons. So let's say 300 people came. Had he been able to impress 10%, 30 people, 30 couples, let's say, because I guess they were for 2 people, 30 couples would have come in, 60 people, and he could have created a habit of these people coming maybe once a month. So that's 30 more couples, 60 more people coming every month through the door. That's an extra 15 tables a week. Well, then over a couple of months, he would have recouped his investment. They might have started coming at night for dinner. So when you want to do a promotion, when you want to do a shift, whatever it is you're doing, keep in mind that prepare for it and set yourself up to win. Don't think that, if we get busy, too bad. Because then the guest is paying for your mistakes. And there's too many restaurants. People are too smart about going out now. They're just going to go somewhere else next time. And like in our case, we go back because it's local. We want to be, supportive of a local business. But a lot of time now we've found another 3, 4 spots that we can go for brunch. So instead of going pretty much every week, the first year we were here on Sunday morning, because that was me and my girlfriend's date, because we work nights, and it became now we go maybe once every 2 months. All right, so we go 6 to 8 times a year versus we probably went 50 times the first year. And now I still go out and we still do the brunch thing most of the times, but we'll drive 45 minutes to go to some place that we know will have an awesome experience. So opportunity meets preparedness. Please keep in mind, you want to be ready when the guests come, and you want to make sure that you impress them, and you want to, make them come back, make them happy with the money they spend with you. So make sure you're ready. Well, my friends, thank you very much for listening to this episode of The Restaurant Show. I'm Christopher Wells, founder of Restaurant Building Blocks. I'm your host. I was very happy to have you here with me today. I hope if you take one thing away from this, if you remember the first segment, make sure that you get some time off for yourself. It could be a half day, it could be a day. I don't care what it is, but get some time to recharge those batteries. Put your mind in the right place. If you have any comments, don't hesitate to drop me a line at info@rbbsolutions.com, or check us out online at restaurantbuildingblocks.com. And from there, you can find the Facebook, the Twitter, all of these good things. I'm very happy that you're with me. If you want to share this podcast with your friends, social media, anywhere, anything that can get the good word out, I appreciate it. And I thank you very much. Hope to meet you on the road and anywhere around. Have a great day. Have a great summer. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.